Hello, and welcome back to the Fae Banner Review, where we talk about new heroes banners not always being about new heroes. Sometimes it's about a new hero, singular. Today, we have a brand new Tellius banner featuring a bunch of characters that are already in the game. Featuring a Tellius character who isn't in the game. And as per tradition, I will be using this coveted line graph that may or may not be a line graph at the end of the day to rank the brand new Tellius banner, as well as the circle graph that may or may not be a circle at the end of the day alongside it. Today's rankings will be based on how long the trailer is, and if you want videos that are longer than the Fae trailer, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you, I'd really appreciate it. First up, we have Soren, and he's purple. He's also a rearmed blue tome, which is funny because we just got one earlier this year, and it's also strictly better than the one we got earlier this year. Shadows of Valencia really can't have anything to themselves, huh? Let's see. Soren comes with Arcane Rex Bolt, which is a slaying arcane blue tome that grants 6 visible attack and res, breath, and penalty neutralization to himself and allies within 2 spaces at the start of the player phase or enemy phase. It grants a bunch of stats during combat, 25 true damage per hit, 15 true damage reduction, and 50% damage reduction piercing. He also comes with a pure FA slot in Refined Magic, and wow, that's very long. It grants 6 visible speed and defense, fringe bonus, and follow-up denial to himself and allies within 2 spaces at the start of the player phase or enemy phase. It disables adaptive damage from all attacks. It grants an additional Spectrumate during combat, 20% res-based true damage, 7 true damage reduction, a guaranteed follow-up, brave attacks if he has more res than the foe, and he grants a brand new, not really new, status in Assign Decoy Twin to any ally support or unit with the highest defense stat. And Assign Decoy Twin is just Assign Decoy but with the twin save effect built into it. Yep, that sure is Brave Soren, but new. Stronger support, stronger combat capabilities, purple. He really does everything better. Still, I think one of the largest issues that was facing Brave Soren prior to this ult was Brave Ayduldoro, who could double up as a save, and that might crop up here as well. You're basically getting 2 for the price of 1 with a combat niche that's more prevalent. That issue will phase out over time as Ayduldoro's tanking capabilities fall off, but it is worth mentioning. And for what it's worth, Soren can keep doubling down on support given he is a high-res infantry. Stuff like Favor, Cancer Control, any of the res skills, and so on give him more of a supportive edge in this case. It just becomes a question of whether it's worth an entire team slot that could be for literally anything else. But if you are already using Brave Soren before this point, then this is just the best possible outcome. And despite the comparisons, he really isn't that bad. Also, unrelated, but the Arcane has no conditions on it. It just does everything with no requirement. Not even a 25% HP condition that everything else tends to get. Maybe power creep has gone too far. Soren also comes with Ice Wall, Attack Risk Havoc, and a brand new C-slot in Preempt Ploy, which inflicts deploy and exposure penalties on foes within 3 rows and columns, grants additional attack and res during combat based on the maximum special cooldown count +2, and grants a special jump of 1 before their first attack. It's pretty cool, yeah. We get another addition to the Times Pulse catalog that continues to see new additions fairly often. It is good though, don't get me wrong, as it is just better Time Pulse Helm. It does more things than it. It does look like one of the newer go-to C-slots in that regard. Also, Havoc and Ice Wall. Can't go wrong with those either. His fodder in general is not only good, but easy to pass around, so that's a positive. At worst, it's just the prerequisite for Preempt Ploy, but that really shouldn't be that bad. Unless they decide to make the prerequisite an extremely niche and limited time C-slot, then it will be that bad. And other than that, that sure is Soren. It's Brave Soren. But purple. He's more modern with better support, and his decoy support being able to work immediately on something like Aether's defense is pretty cool at least. I guess it just depends if you're really in need of something like that, but it's not like we're starving on armor options right now. Quite the opposite actually. I'm surprised this banner didn't even have another one ready to go. Please stop releasing armors into the game, IS. Thank you. Next, there's Stefan, and he's finally in the game. I think a lot of people have been waiting for this dude since the launch of the game, so it's great to see he's here now. Yep, it sure is. Let's see. Stefan comes with Vague Kadi, which is a slaying sword that grants him and allies within 2 spaces the Dull status, and 1 to 2 special jumps based on whether their special is at its maximum value. He gets a bunch of stats during combat, 15 to 25 true damage based on whether his special is ready or triggers during combat, 20% speed-based true damage reduction, another 20% if the foe triggers a special, potent follow 100% if he's fast enough, and after combat he gets 1 to 2 special jumps based on whether his special is at its maximum value. That's okay, you could keep him. Actually, don't keep him. I'll take anything I could get. I think he could have been a bit better, but I'd hardly call him bad. He's the special spamming guy. in a meta where everyone gets bulkier if they get hit by a special. Including himself, ain't that something? His support isn't too bad, at least being able to give out dull and 2 special jumps to everyone is pretty nice. It's not support so many units need, but it is useful regardless. And his combat, albeit a tad generic, is still solid since it has all the standard true damage and true damage reduction stuff. On top of potent follow 100%, he should do pretty well in combat at the very least, but otherwise he doesn't seem too remarkable. There's really nothing about him that stands out, so he kind of just exists more or less, but at least he got a PRF to work with, which is better than I can say for most other units. Well, most units do get PRFs these days, so maybe not. Stefan also comes with Gust, Brutal Tempest, and a brand new B-slot in Harrowing Call, which grants Phantom Speed 7, 80% area of effect damage reduction. It inflicts attack and speed debuffs on the foe during combat, grants upwards of 15 true damage based on how much faster the user is over the foe, 20% speed-based true damage reduction, and if initiating combat, you get to move back 1 space after. I know what you are. Releasing Null Sea Avoid again, but trading out Null Sea Disrupt for Hit and Run is certainly a choice. I actually do remember liking skills like Close Call because of the after combat movement, but I have to wonder if it'll be worthwhile to run over Null Sea Avoid. In a funny world, you could run away with 5 movement if paired with Brutal Tempest, which he conveniently has. Losing out on Null Sea Disrupt does stink a little, but I guess it also depends on how this skill interacts with stuff like Cancer Control or even Korn's Divine Veins. In my mind, because you're moving back a space after combat, I assume that takes priority and can allow you to ignore the cancel control entirely. If that's the case, then it's actually a pretty sick option and opens up a bit more combat utility for initiators like him, especially if you're not attempting to be mixed phase. But if it doesn't work like that, then well, it's only so much different from Null Sea Avoid, right? Still, his fodder is pretty good overall, and it being in the normal pool is the cherry on top. I don't think that many people would mind getting pity broken by Stefan every so often. Which is good, because you'll most likely never be pity broken by him anyway. Have an attack defense scowl instead. And other than that, that sure is Stefan. He's not terrible, but he could have definitely been a lot better. That said, I think many of the sentiments around him will be that being in the game is good enough, and I find myself in the same position. I'm just glad he's in the game. And hey, you know, it could have been a lot worse. He could have been color sharing with an objectively stronger unit in a similar archetype, but they would never do something like that. And then there's Duo Alencia and Lucia, and yep, they would do something like that. Thank you for that, IS. She's another normal pool duo unit that won't be in the normal pool since it's for the 20th anniversary of Path of Radiance. In North America specifically. Not sure why they went with the North American release date, but that's pretty cool. Some people might call it a coincidence though, but I say there's no such thing as a coincidence. Yes! Even more. Not sure it needed a banner slot though. Let's see. Alencia comes with Bonded Blades, which is a dual phase brave sword that grants 3 visible attack. Both her and the foe cannot trigger specials during combat or use area of effect specials. It grants 6 visible attack and speed, empathy, and dodge to herself and any ally within 3 spaces at the start of the player phase or enemy phase. She gets a bunch of stats during combat, and upwards of 25 true damage and 15 true damage reduction based on the amount of bonuses active on her and the foe. She also comes with a PRF C-slot in Ties of Crimea, which is an Omni-Guidance C-slot that neutralizes stat penalties and removes 2 penalty effects to herself and any ally within 3 spaces after start of turn effects trigger. She gets Spectrum 5 during combat, 7 true damage, 7 true damage reduction, full null follow-up, 50% damage reduction piercing, and she restores 7 HP every time she attacks, on top of a dual button that grants Bulwark to herself and allies within 2 spaces and places Divine Vein Stone within 2 spaces of Alencia. You know, as I was reading this, I forgot that this isn't even the last unit they showed on the banner, but I don't think it'll be any longer than this. Welcome to Modern Fae, everyone. Okay, Alencia. I really like the Stone Terrain that grants 50% damage reduction against all area of effect specials that cannot be triggered against Alencia, as it also pairs really well with her B-slot Null Sea Avoid for an additional 80% damage reduction against area of effect specials that cannot be triggered. And you may be saying to yourself that they do more than that and I'm being extremely unfair here, and you'd be 100% right about that. The Stone Terrain also grants 10 true damage reduction against specials that cannot be triggered against Alencia. Okay, that aside, Alencia does look to be pretty strong overall. The 3 Space Micaiah level cleansing alone is nice utility for 8th Raid's defense since it is easier to reach everybody. Now, Freyr does cleanse every start of turn penalty, but there can be times where positioning becomes a bit awkward since it is a 2 space limit. But you know, it's Freyr, so boo-hoo, I guess. I don't know. The flexibility is really nice though, especially since she's looking to be a premier frontliner due to the addition of Omni Guidance and being able to disable specials. Allowing allies to move around easily is really great, and the combination of disabling specials alongside the dodge status she gives out on top of the amount of true damage reduction in her kit works together really well. We've seen what units like Attuned Tharja and Halloween Freya can do with it. Although I won't lie and say that despite all her combat stuff, taking that much damage from Mr. Override over there and Athos in the trailer has me raising an eyebrow. It has me slightly worried about her survivability in practice, but disabling specials is a very strong effect to have. Also, her own threat range leaves a bit to be desired, especially with Ryoma and Byleth being a thing, but the utility definitely makes up for it, and if there's any consolation, at least she's safe from area of effect specials. Thank goodness for that one. Alencia also comes with Drawback Gate, Distant Bonus Amp, and Null Sea Void. Yep, that's what she comes with, and it's nothing particularly new, but it's decent stuff. Yep, and other than that, that sure is Alencia and Lucia. She might end up being pretty great overall, but it's definitely a wait-and-see thing on my end. That said, it is hard to argue against Warping Utility and Micaiah-type Cleansing within 3 spaces. That's going to be useful on Aetheride's defense at the very least. So if it's not a massive priority for you, then I don't think... Stop that. And last, there's Sharena, and she's the new Entwined unit this time around. She gives out attack and speed for her Twined Bouquet thing, so yeah. She's also the new Brave Sharena, so for anyone who took Brave Sharena as your free pick, well, tee-hee, here's a better one. I shouldn't be tee-heeing about that. Let's see. Sharena comes with Azja of Asker, and I definitely butchered that, which is a slaying lance that grants a bunch of stats during combat, low speed and defense, upwards of 25 true damage and 15 true damage reduction based on the amount of bonuses active on her and the foe, potent follow 100%, and if her support partner or an ally within 3 spaces of her initiates combat, they get another action. She also comes with a brand new, not really new, PRF C-slot and Entwined Onrush that grants Canto Distance, extra movement at the start of the turn if she's within 3 spaces of an ally, as well as Insighted, Resonance Blades, and Null follow-up to herself and allies within 3 spaces at the start of the player phase and enemy phase. She gets Spectrum 5 during combat, 7 true damage, 7 true damage reduction, Null Guard, and after an ally support or an ally within 3 spaces initiates combat, she gets another action and her Canto gets re-enabled. See, what did I tell ya? Whoa, it's Brave Sharena again! Okay, there's some differences here and there, but not to the point where there's a reason to use the old Sharena. Old as in 2 months old. This game sometimes, I swear. So Brave Sharena has built-in Miracle, gives out Empathy and Creation Pulse support, and is ranged, whereas Entwined Sharena trades out the Miracle effect for being a better combat unit since she can run Gale Force, while also being a 4-movement Lance Cav, which means she can both match and exceed Brave Sharena's range consistently with range 2 support. And while you could argue Creation Pulse and Empathy are better bonuses to have than Insighted, Resonance Blades, and Null Follow-Up, Entwined being able to give out her Gale Force support map-wide is such a large distinction from Brave that, in my opinion, makes her the better option almost always. Also, the bonus difference really isn't that big either way, so... They did have this Sharena alt planned out probably before Brave Sharena if I had to guess, but I really wish they made her at least somewhat distinct from the Brave version. There's really no reason for her to be this similar, especially since Brave Sharena is still pretty decent, although I think we all know that's asking for too much at this point. Either way, if you already like how Brave Sharena performs, then you'll probably be happy about how this one performs. And if you already own Brave Sharena, then you probably won't be happy about how this one performs. I guess I should be happy I didn't get her. Not that I got any Brave hero on the Brave banner, but still. Entwined Sharena also comes with Arc Rival, Attack Speed Excel, and a brand new B-slot in Assault Impetus, which inflicts speed and defense penalties on the foe during combat, grants 20% speed or defense-based true damage based on which is higher, 50% damage reduction piercing, and 1 to 2 special jumps if initiating combat based on spaces moved, including when using an area of effect special. And I'm just kidding, why would they ever make or reprint another Momentum? It's actually real, never mind. It's basically just a combination of Assault Force and Momentum, but compared to Momentum, besides the special jumps, it inflicts attack and defense penalties, grants a guaranteed follow-up, and up to 20 true damage, but in most cases it'll be around 16 since Mr. Override is the only natural 5 movement unit. You're basically trading that out for similar and arguably better at times, true damage scaling for more units, and damage reduction piercing, which is pretty nice. It also scales off defense, which makes it pretty flexible for most units, even if you're losing out on a guaranteed follow-up, but I think most people really cared about the special jumps anyway. That, and you could easily outsource it from somewhere else since it's not that hard of an effect to get, and the best part of it all is that it's on another limited time unit. great. But hey, we got another source of it, right? I'll consider that a win in my book. And other than that, that sure is Sharena. It really is just Brave Sharena, but better, which is both funny and depressing seeing as Brave Sharena is only 2 months old. Mind you, this doesn't make Brave Sharena worthless, but if you never got her in the first place and you're in need of somebody like this, then Entwined is always going to be the better option in my opinion. And if you already have Brave Sharena, then Entwined is going to be the better option. Map-wide Gale Force is pretty nuts, honestly. But hey, at least Brave has better fodder, question mark? Debatably, she's losing on all fronts, isn't she? Other than the banner units, we have Instant Demote Boyd, which is awesome. But he's also an instant demote, which is not awesome. We're glad he's in the game at least, but getting 11 copies of this dude is going to be a nightmare. Hopefully he'll be on a banner sooner or later like all the other instant demotes have been. Never mind, you better start hoping real hard. There's also the Grand Hero Battle unit in Grommel, and not only is he easier to obtain than Boyd, he might actually have a PRF. At least looking at his sprite, it seems to be one, but if it's not, then just kidding, I just lied. It'd be cool if he did get one, though. Otherwise, there's the art, I guess, and, you know, it looks pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. It all comes full circle.
Naga bestows her benevolence upon all who seek it.
And now that we've gone over the brand new Tellius units, I think it's time we rank the banner on the line graph that may or may not be a line graph at the end of the day. And would you look at that? The brand new Tellius banner has earned a 7 out of 10. On the line graph. And based on my understanding of the banner, I believe it would be best fit somewhere around this area of the circle graph. It looks like a lot of promising stuff, but that may be due to the amount of text no one wants to sit through and read. Seriously, why is the trailer 7 minutes long? And you may be wondering to yourself, should I spend any modicum of currency on this new banner? And I understand that may be a difficult decision at times, so allow me to help you out here. I'm not really sure. I don't think the banner is too amazing or really seems that crazy overall. Soren is essentially just newer Brave Soren who's already pretty niche at best. This version is obviously stronger, but not to the point where you really need to get him in my opinion. That said, if you need a new blue tone for a project or something, then this is worth grabbing as it is pretty good. This unit is just a bonus at that point. Stefan is okay, and being okay in 2025 Fae means bad. Being good in 2025 Fae also means bad. What even is good these days? Duo Alencia I think could be pretty solid in practice for something like Aether's Defense, given her mobility support and Micaiah-like cleansing. The disabling of specials is also really nice for a frontliner role of sorts. I'm not sure if that alone is worthwhile, but she's probably okay in a lot of other areas of the game at least. And Entwined Sharena is newer and better Brave Sharena, and she's probably the one I like the most here. The map-wide Gale Force is really strong, and the amount of action economy you get in general is really nice for Aether's offense clearing. That said, a lot of the banner is just more or less the same stuff but newer, so I guess it depends if you're really in need of something like that. Also, for what it's worth, it's 2 color shears, which is fantastic if you just want more chances at 5 stars. That could be worth it in some capacity, especially since the banner has really good fodder overall. Stefan's fodder is a maybe on that front, but you know. Still, it's not like we have a lot of active banners up at the moment either. The Halloween banner is currently active, and I'd argue the unit value is better there, whereas the Tellius banner makes up for it in fodder. The Emblem Corin and Uma Lin banner that, won't be here by next reset. You might want to hurry on that one if you didn't already pull. Otherwise, it's just the next end of the month banner that should be dropping in over a week or so. You could probably just save for that or save your orbs in general, which might be the best option if none of these banners are worth it to you. And honestly, I don't think you'll be missing out on too much by skipping TBH, 2BH, to be quite H. Well, besides the limited time normal pull unit that's limited for some reason, but other than that,
I hate you!
Even more.